Good morning and welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I am Razzle11 and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Going to be taking a look at pitching for today, the 17th of June. It is Tuesday. We do have a 12-game main slate ahead of us this evening. And from my understanding, we have two games that are a little worrisome. Both are in Chicago. Let me see if our weather station is updated yet. And it is, as you see, 70% delay risk in both Chicago games, 20 and 30% PPD risk. As for the rest of the weather, doesn't look like there's anything to worry about aside from those two games. A lot of winds blowing out on this main slate here. One game has it blowing in and one game's inside. Nothing major blowing out. San Francisco, but it's always blowing out in San Francisco. Everything else around 10 miles an hour. Not necessarily something that's actionable to me in most of these stadiums, since most ballparks are built to limit wind of some sort. But it is good to see green for hitting. Not very good for pitching, which is what this video is about. So what does that mean for us? It means we're going to have to really dig in, get an idea of how we want to attack the slate with pitching, and get that right, and hopefully our stacks can reward us this evening. This is a first look at the pitching options, and I will be looking at DraftKings as that is where a majority of my action is. If you do play in FanDuel, I'll cut my pool in half or so. Pricing isn't quite as tight. It allows you to be more creative, or it does not need you to be creative. It allows you to get the stacks you want with an upper tier-ish pitcher. It's still half asleep here. Let's just jump into the slate at this point. Angels, Yankees, definitely not using Kyle Hendricks. Will Warren, somebody that we will probably be utilizing. Big, K upside matchup against the Angels. He does have one double-digit strikeout performance on the season. I thought Clark Schmidt would pick up more Ks last night. He was strong in the game, just didn't rack up strikeouts. And now you get Will Warren, who has been at his best when pitching at home. Going to be tough for me to not want to be on Will Warren this evening. The Yankees minus 260 favorites. Getting into the strikeout numbers, we get a K prop of 6.5. Juiced under, but still 6.5 appears to be tied for the top K prop on the slate. And we like those numbers. Arizona, Toronto. Chris Bassett has been phenomenal at home. But man, do I really want to use a right-handed pitcher against Arizona. I mean, we probably could. It's not one I feel super excited about doing if we are going to go that route. K-prop of 4.5, juice to the over. But, man, this one is going to test my thinking here, just because I generally don't like right-hand pitchers against the D-backs. I'm not sure how Arizona's been swinging it recently, so that's always going to come into play for me. Right now, I would say that Bassett probably ends up on the outside looking in, but I do just love him when he's pitching at home, so maybe he finds his way in, but I'm just not sure that I'm picking on Arizona. Brandon Pfaadt, I'm just not going to pick on Toronto. Not a huge K number, and Pfaadt's not a dominant pitcher. Giving up a ton of home runs on the road. 11 of them in 35 innings. That's a ridiculously high number. Just not worth it on the slate, on a 12-gamer. Minnesota, Cincinnati. Andrew Abbott certainly going to be in play coming off of a complete game shutout. Getting a couple extra days of rest, which is always nice to see. 100 plus pitches in each of his last 2 starts, probably why that rest was triggered. 34 plus in 2 out of his last 3 starts. He's been pretty good at home. He's even more dominant on the road, but still, obviously this ballpark is worrisome just because of the amount of home runs that are hit here. But I do think we have to entertain using Abbott. K-prop 5.5, juice slightly to the under, but still 5.5, pretty decent number for us. Minus 123 favorite. Game total just 8.5. Probably a pretty good spot. Festa, big arm in the minors. Hasn't really shown it yet completely in the majors. There is strikeout upside. He was horrendous in his one road start. This one's a super volatile play. He could dominate against the Reds, or he could just get lit up early and often. Most likely he's going to be on the outside looking in, but he's somebody that I'm intrigued enough about that I want to dig in more as the day goes on. Mets Braves, Schwellenbach coming off of a complete game as well. 37 plus fantasy points in 2 out of his last 3 starts. 29 plus in 3 out of his last 4. 9 plus strikeouts in 3 out of the last 4 as well. Not the easiest of matchups, but is pitching at home where he has been really, really strong. K numbers are even better when at home. Home runs allowed numbers go down, walk rate goes down, etc. Schwellenbach is one of those guys that I think we just play. He has plenty of upside and ability, so we will be picking on the Mets a little bit. It's not something I want to get into a habit of doing, but I think it makes sense in this spot. K-prop of 5.5 juiced to the under. Other side, David Peterson, K-prop of 5.5 juiced under as well. Probably going to have to use Peterson. He is also coming off of a complete game shutout. So we have some pitchers who've recently put up some pretty strong performances. He has been weaker on the road. K numbers are stronger, but walk rate, home runs allowed, etc. go up. His hit rate is actually a little lower, buddy, with the walk rate. I'm going to use Peterson a little bit just because this Atlanta offense has disappointed for much of the season. I just don't see myself going too heavy on him. It's more of probably a 10 to 12% type sprinkle in my pool. Tampa Bay, Baltimore, Zach Littell, and Dean Kramer. Littell's been decent at home. K rate's much better when at home, but 7 home runs allowed over his last 3 starts. He did throw a complete game 3 starts ago, which is really weird because he also allowed 11 base runners. But he's given up 5 solo home runs over the last 2 starts. The nice thing is he doesn't really walk anybody. So solo home runs probably don't kill us, but still, as much as I've been, trying to use some pitching against Baltimore, I just don't think Littell's the one that has the upside we want this evening. Dean Kramer, probably not, but he does flash some ability. He's been pretty bad on the road, and this ballpark obviously is one we've been utilizing for offense, especially Tampa Bay when they're at home. So just don't see us getting to Dean Kramer this evening. St. Louis and the White Sox, obviously big weather issues here. We're going to need to see as the day goes on. Shane Smith's been phenomenal at home. It's just super impressive Rule 5 draft pick that the White Sox pulled off here. He's getting it done. He's probably somebody that I would consider if everything was normal. Liberatore, a guy that we've used multiple times this year with some success. He's been pretty bad the last 3 starts. I think people will want to use him to pick on the White Sox. I I think I'm going to end up passing even if the weather holds off. I might just fade him. I would guess he'd be in the teens for ownership, maybe a little more. I don't think we have any projections available just yet, but I think I would pass on Liberatore as much as it pains me to say. The other Chicago game, where we're probably not utilizing pitching too much. The wind was blowing out to center. Patrick has been decent for the Brewers. Much better when pitching at home. Just don't think I'm going to get there with Patrick, even if the weather cleared up. Ben Brown's a guy that, if the weather cleared up, I might have to consider. Super volatile. When he gets knocked around, he definitely gets knocked around. But like the K upside is just really strong with Ben Brown. So it's somebody that I want to be able to consider. The problem is, obviously, we don't know if the game's going to happen. K-prop of 5.5. So I would like to use him, but I have a feeling I'm just not going to be able to because of the weather. Kansas City and Texas, probably going to pass. Lugo's somebody we've utilized. Walks are kind of up. Strikeouts really haven't been there. There just hasn't been a ceiling for almost 2 months now. He obviously had that massive game against Houston, but that's really the only one. Probably going to pass. Leiter, probably going to pass as well. Kansas City just doesn't strike out enough for me, especially against a mediocre pitcher. He has been pretty good at home overall, but still, he allows too many walks, really. Not enough strikeouts to offset him. I'm just going to pass on pitching in this game. Boston, Seattle. Should be a decently popular game for pitching. Woo's coming off of a couple pretty bad starts. 6 home runs allowed over his last 3 starts. Has not looked good. Extra day of rest probably comes in handy. Taking on Boston, who does not have Rafael Devers. We just saw Logan Gilbert strike out 9 in 5 innings, I think it was. On the other side, we just saw Giolito strike out 10 in 5 for 6 innings for Boston. I think Buehler could be in play. There is upside, but he just hasn't been great. 6 home runs allowed over his last 4 starts. Maxing out at 7 strikeouts. There is upside there. I definitely would rather play Woo, but I think Walker Buehler certainly a GPP option. I don't love it, but I think I have to sprinkle some in. Woo's K-prop 5.5 juice to the over, and Buehler's 4.5 juice to the over as well. Cleveland, San Francisco. Obviously, I want pitching in this ballpark, so I will be playing Ray for sure, and probably Sassoni. He's been better when on the road, and obviously this ballpark's really nice. 22 plus in 2 out of his last 4. One of those he didn't pick up the win either, so been pitching well enough. Robbie Ray struggled a little bit last start in Coors, but had been phenomenal. I'm just going to utilize Robbie Ray when pitching at home. Even though his K numbers take a hit when he's at home because he does pitch to contact a little bit more. No pitching in Houston and the Athletics game. Sears we originally thought might pitch last night. And San Diego and the Dodgers were going to pass. I have zero interest in either of those guys at this point. So, there we have it. There's our first look at pitching. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on. Get the alert anytime we drop videos here at TFS Army. And if you want to join us, get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, Discord, etc. I will put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, that's R-A-Z, for 10% off monthly. And as always, best of luck, everybody.